Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating historical framework. We're going to explore how 1400-year-old principles laid the absolute foundation for ethical economics. We'll be looking specifically at the trade ethics of the companions of Prophet Muhammad, and how they managed to create a system that carefully balanced profit with, well, profound moral responsibility. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's start here with a well-known hadith narrated by Ahmad. It shares this really interesting interaction. A companion actually asked the Prophet about the absolute best livelihood a person could possibly have. And the answer? It wasn't something purely administrative or disconnected from the community. No, he specifically identified manual labor, working with your own two hands, and honest, blessed trading as the highest forms of earning a living. It's so cool because trade wasn't looked down upon as just greedy wealth accumulation. It was completely elevated as an honorable, active contribution to society. It really shifted the economic focus from passive extraction to active, dignified creation.
Section 1. Worship through ethical trade, the foundational framework. Now, in this historical context, trade wasn't just some dry, transactional exchange of goods for money. Doing business properly was actually considered a profound act of worship. It's kind of like a giant puzzle with two interlocking pieces. You've got fiqh, which are the strict legal norms, and akhlaq, representing high moral conduct. The companions absolutely did not separate the law from morality. They seamlessly integrated both to achieve taqwa, or God consciousness, in their everyday business. You couldn't just follow the letter of the law while being a ruthless competitor. You had to embody both the legal framework and the spiritual morality at the exact same time. When every single transaction is viewed through a spiritual lens like that, the marketplace literally transforms from a zero-sum battleground into a cooperative community space.
Section 2. Honesty, trust, and justice.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the massive spiritual reward placed on simple, everyday truthfulness. According to a hadith narrated by Tirmidhi, an honest, transparent trader will be ranked alongside prophets and martyrs in the afterlife. I mean, wow, that is an incredibly high status. It shows us that transparency in product descriptions and telling the complete truth wasn't just seen as good customer service. It was the ultimate spiritual achievement that guaranteed market justice. When honesty is directly tied to a person's eternal salvation, the market inherently polices itself against fraud. It's built right in. To see what this actually looked like in action, let's consider the historical accounts of two extremely famous companions, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Abd ar-Rahman ibn Auf. Abu Bakr was literally known as as-Siddiq, the profoundly truthful. Both of these men demonstrated such deep trustworthiness that they upheld the absolute integrity of their binding contracts. Even, and this is key, even when doing so guaranteed a personal financial loss. To them, breaking a contract wasn't just a legal breach, it was a severe spiritual wrong. Honoring their word meant everything, and that ensured unparalleled stability and trust in the marketplace. Actually, scratch that, this level of integrity wasn't just a personal quirk of these two men, it set the foundational standard for an entire civilization's approach to commerce. Of course, this intense dedication to fairness required strict, non-negotiable mandates of justice. We're talking accurate weights and measures, fair pricing, and an absolute zero-tolerance prohibition on hoarding goods just to manipulate prices. Driven by the Quranic command to give full measure and weight with justice, they ensured a continuous market equilibrium. Hoarding during times of scarcity, for instance, wasn't just frowned upon. It was actively dismantled to protect consumer rights and prevent artificial inflation. Think about how radical that is. They recognized early on that an unregulated, hoarding-based market ultimately destroys itself by pricing out the very people it's supposed to serve. But, personal morality was also backed up by some heavy-duty regulations against exploitation. Two of the major prohibitions were riba, meaning usury or exploitative interest, and ghirar, which is misrepresentation, exaggeration, or deception in a contract. The second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, firmly enforced these market regulations, and doing so protected the higher objectives of Islamic law. It safeguarded both the wealth of the society from predatory exploitation and the religion of the society from the corruption that always comes with greed. Riba exploits the desperate, while ghirar exploits the uninformed. By completely outlawing both, this regulatory framework ensured a level playing field where real value was actually created, not just manipulated. Section 3. Compassion over profit. Because for the companions, altruism always superseded maximum financial gain. Just consider this remarkable historical event. A severe famine hits the region, right? The people are absolutely desperate. Suddenly, an incredibly valuable caravan of goods arrives, and it's owned by Uthman ibn Affan. Other merchants naturally swarm him, offering massive profits, fully intending to price gouge the starving population for their own gain. But instead, Uthman chooses to donate the entire caravan to the poor for free. He completely bypassed the opportunity for massive personal wealth to fulfill his social responsibility. It proves that human life and community survival completely trumped any profit margin. It's just a stunning example of how a deeply ingrained moral compass can override standard supply and demand economics during a crisis.
And this brilliantly illustrates ihsan, or deep benevolence. On the flip side, we see the concept of zuhud, which means detachment from material access. Remember the immensely wealthy merchant Abdul Rahman ibn Auf? Well, he practiced zuhud by living a very humble lifestyle despite his incredible riches. Together, these concepts prove that the companions viewed wealth strictly as a tool for societal welfare and wealth circulation. It was never ever seen as an end goal to simply be hoarded by the elite. Wealth was a responsibility, not merely a privilege.
This deep compassion even extended into things like debt collection. The source material shares a really powerful hadith about a man facing judgment. He had no good deeds to his name except for a simple 3-step practice. 1, he possessed wealth. 2, he lent it to those in need. And 3, he universally granted grace periods, or just made it super easy for struggling debtors to pay him back. And because of this profound leniency, Allah completely forgave the man. Leniency in business was literally a saving grace here. It demonstrates that showing mercy toward debtors is valued far, far above aggressive collection tactics. Section 4. The modern economic legacy. So the crucial point is that these 1,400-year-old ethics didn't just disappear into the history books. They laid the blueprint for systems we still see today. A great example of this is Qard al-Hasan. This is a modern Islamic finance instrument that involves highly ethical credit practices, like intentionally rescheduling debts or completely writing off loans for those in extreme need, entirely without expecting a financial return. It's the direct modern descendant of the compassion shown by the Prophet's companions, proving that ethical lending is entirely possible within structured finance. It really challenges the conventional notion that lending must always, without fail, yield a compounded return, and offers a totally alternative model focused on long-term societal resilience. Which leaves us with a really powerful, kind of provocative thought. If modern global markets actually prioritize communal welfare, true transparency, and compassion over the relentless pursuit of maximum profit, what would our economy look like today? The companions prove that an economy can absolutely be both highly efficient and deeply ethical. It's a fascinating challenge for us, right? Trying to apply these timeless principles to our highly complex modern world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning how we can build a better system.